The cast of Orange is the New Black is full of eccentric and memorable inmate characters in prison for various reasons. Here's why each one was sent to prison. Orange is the New Black takes a deep dive into the prison system and portrays the various forms of corruption that can be found within the system, including guard brutality and racial discrimination. The main protagonist of Orange is the New Black is Piper Chapman, who attempts to grapple with the prison's numerous struggles along with the other prisoners within the Litchfield Penitentiary. Orange is the New Black was widely acclaimed throughout the course of the show's run on Netflix. Orange is the New Black was especially praised by critics for its humanization of the prisoners who appear in the show, as well as the show's surreal portrayal of life within Litchfield Penitentiary and prison life in general. This remarkable portrayal is partly due to Orange is the New Black's true story that the show is based upon. The show has won 4 Emmy Awards, receiving 3 of those awards from the first season. Since Orange is the New Black revolves around the Litchfield Penitentiary, several of the major characters from the show are inmates. All of these inmates are incarcerated for a large variety of crimes, including smuggling drugs and illegal gambling rings. Here is a list of each major inmate and why they were in prison. Piper Chapman. Orange is the New Black's Piper Chapman was sentenced to 15 months in prison for a full list of crimes, including perjury, inciting a riot, and smuggling drugs for her girlfriend, Alex Voss. In addition, she was charged with, but not convicted of accessory to murder, multiple counts of vandalism, theft, accessory to torture, and multiple counts of public indecency. She also assaulted Tiffany Dodgett and framed Maria Ruiz. Piper was released from prison in Orange is the New Black, Season 7, where she went on to live with Neri and Cal and worked at a Thai restaurant. Alex Voss. It's unknown how long Alex Voss's sentence was, but she was imprisoned for heroin trafficking and a probation violation. She was also guilty, but not convicted of murder and dissecting and dismembering a human body. A small period of time was removed from her sentence as a reward for turning in Piper Chapman, but she remains incarcerated at the end of Orange is the New Black, and audiences are likely to never find out how long her sentence was, as there will not be an Orange is the New Black Season 8. Galina Red Reznikov. Galina Reznikov or Red was a factory worker during the 1970s in Soviet-era Russia. Years later, after having moved to the United States, Red was sentenced to 14 years in prison for inciting a riot and being heavily involved in a murder conspiracy with the Russian mafia. Due to her long sentence, she remains incarcerated at the end of Orange is the New Black. Suzanne Crazy Eyes Warren. Suzanne Crazy Eyes Warren has one of the more tragic backstories. She was sentenced to 15 years in prison for kidnapping and involuntary manslaughter of a minor, despite her mental illness. Orange is the New Black explores this issue deeply in the show, displaying how challenging life can be with a mental illness within the prison system. Unfortunately, Crazy Eyes remained incarcerated in the show's conclusion. Tasha Tasty Jefferson. Orange is the New Black's Tasha Tasty Jefferson was a popular character in the show. She was originally imprisoned for heroin trafficking, a parole violation, and inciting a riot. However, after being released she was sentenced to life in prison for the murder of correction officer Desi Piscatella, despite the fact that she was innocent. This was another tragic story told in Orange is the New Black. Nikki Nichols. Nikki Nichols was originally sentenced to 5 years in prison for breaking and entering and the possession of heroin. However, after the discovery that she was smuggling heroin within Litchfield Penitentiary, her sentence was increased to an unknown amount of time. She remained in prison at the conclusion of Orange is the New Black. Tiffany Pensadiki Dodgett. Tiffany Dodgett was sentenced to at least 12 years for aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, carrying unregistered firearms, and felony escape. She was also guilty of, but not convicted of conspiring to murder Piper Chapman, a murder attempt, and drug possession. During The Orange is the New Black's lackluster season 5, she escaped the prison to be with the correctional officer Charlie. Gloria Mendoza was imprisoned for an unspecified amount of time for possession of marijuana and deadly conduct. Gloria Mendoza displays an amazing example of maternal affection during the events of Orange is the New Black, dutifully caring for the other inmates. At the end of the show, she is preparing to be released. Cindy Hayes was incarcerated for a theft she had committed while working as a SA agent and security officer for an airport in Pittsburgh. She had been busted stealing people's food and items from the security desk while their bags were being searched. Cindy Hayes was granted early release from prison in Orange is the New Black season 7. Dayanara Diaz was originally sentenced to 44 months in prison alongside her mother for possession of illegal drugs, where Daya fell in love with Officer John Bennett. However, during the riot in season 4, she murdered a correctional officer and was most likely sentenced to life in prison. She is still incarcerated at the end of Orange is the New Black. Lorna Morello received a 34-month sentence during Orange is the New Black for mail fraud, a restraining order violation, and attempted murder. At the end of the show, Lorna Morello still had 2 years left on her sentence, but she was likely to spend more time than that in prison due to her erratic and dangerous behavior while incarcerated. Pussy Washington was sentenced to 6 years in prison after she trespassed and was caught in possession of cannabis with the intent to sell the drugs. Pussy was accidentally suffocated by a correctional officer, Baxter Bailey, during a demonstration in the cafeteria that was supposed to be peaceful. His aggressive and improper restraint of Pussy further demonstrated the prison brutality depicted in Orange is the New Black. Marisol Gonzalez was imprisoned after one of the kids at her high school committed suicide by jumping off the roof of the school. While that normally wouldn't be a teacher's fault, the student died after buying and using some of the fake drugs that Flocka had been producing and selling at the school. She remains incarcerated at the end of Orange is the New Black season 7.